All right, it's 6:30 and we'll call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'd like to welcome our visitors in person and online this evening. Agenda item 3, we need to approve the agenda, I need a motion for the agenda.
So move.
Okay, I didn't know if I needed to do that first and then put the addendum in. Okay, so Mr. Tollefson handed out this addendum here for 10.5 that was not on our original agenda. So we'll approve that with the addendum of action item 10.5. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Agenda item number 4, public comments on the agenda items. If there's anybody here that wants to do any commenting. I don't think we have anybody, so we'll move on. All right. 5.1, we're going to discuss the MSBA School Board Awards. Mr. Ollie.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Tonight we have a leadership certificate to hand out to Ms. Haudala. So at this time, I'd like to present you with Certificate of Leadership for completion of Minnesota School Boards Association Phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. So congratulations on that. That is all.
And picture after.
And picture afterwards.
Perfect. Front page of the paper by yourself. What? Front page of the paper by yourself.
Absolutely not.
Extra.
I have to retake that picture, because here I am, right in the middle of the hands are here, I'm right, Becky took the picture, so it's like, oh my God. Okay,
We can redo it. We'll redo it.
okay, so I'm out of there.
Okay, our student representatives are not here. If they show up late, then we'll go back to them, because I believe they had stuff. All right, 5.3, policy review. So we've got policy 213, school board committees, first reading of revision, and policy 721, uniform grant guidance policy regarding federal revenue sources. These are the first readings. Any questions about those first readings? I know we discussed this in our work session, but I just want to clarify, leadership evaluation is no longer going to be on there, even though it's pink and listed as one. It's just going to be the negotiations and activities. Is that my understanding? So that negotiation committees will be 1 and activities will be 2. Because what we did is we moved some of these to the work sessions that we have currently on the second Monday of each month. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Just a quick question, if in the next year, I think we should make a note that if it becomes a new board, which very well could be with a lot of new members, and they go without the work session, that we revisit this policy immediately at the beginning of the year so that we can reset and be up to par.
Okay.
Okay? I don't know if that makes sense to everybody.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
and they'd be elected in November, but not seated until January, so.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so those will be brought back to us next month to vote on. All right. 5.4, school board self-evaluation goals / process update. Did you hand these out?
I believe they were sent electronically out.
Okay.
In my weekly notes.
All right, so, I was just looking at that, the last couple of times we've done it, and looks like our board has done it in 2018 and 19, and then not until 2026, so. Anybody have any questions, concerns, anything on the self-evaluate, or the evaluation that we had done?
I thought the results were really interesting to read. I mean, based on the questions, I guess I would have liked to see more in-depth like response, but I still think it's really cool, I guess, to see. And I'm glad that we've done it, because we haven't done it since 2019. I know we don't have to decide anything, but I think it should be something we do at least yearly, if not every 2 years. Looks like you did it in 2018 and 2019. Barb, do you remember, did you used to do it yearly?
We didn't use this method. Did we get the results, the tallied results here, Laura, of what we submitted?
Yeah, so this was the free option, was just this one page. So this is
that's why
all
it's
we
there.
got.
And that came electronically to us?
Yep, yep.
It's also attached to the board right now, the board
Yep.
meeting packet, but.
Yeah, so in 18 and 19 was done through MSBA, because that's how I understood what Gail sent us back, was those were the other 2 years that we used MSBA to do this evaluation, and then this year. So, I was just looking at our graphs and stuff and kind of comparing them to the other years, and I felt standard 4 accountability needs a lot of work. And I don't know what all questions were in that, because there were 70 questions.
Yeah, that was the thing I was just thinking about later. I was like, oh, and we talk about it again, maybe have like the questions after, I mean, like, basically, I don't know if I'm for paying for more data, but just maybe us discussing it a little bit more in depth. Like, I don't have the questions in front of me, obviously, anymore.
Yeah, so I reached out to Gail and just kind of wanted to get information from her in case we wanted the bigger picture of it. So the cost of that is $1,095. It's done virtual, and it gives us a 27-page report.
Yeah, I mean, if we were like a board that was really struggling and, that had a lot of varying, I just don't know if it's money well spent, but,
Yep.
maybe discussing the questions next year, if we do it again.
Yep.
After.
And that's when you would be able to see the results of the whole board's
Yeah.
answers of the 70 questions. Does that make sense?
So I thought it was interesting looking at the results when I got the email. What really the results told me was that the board as a whole, looking at all of the comparisons from the last 2 years, so 18 and 19, we as a board feel that the school is in the right direction. And I don't want to say that back in 18 and 19, but I look at the stats from 18 and 19, and they're pretty low compared to, where, most of us feel like the school is hitting the mark, at least most of the time or always. So, I thought that was interesting. I didn't really know when I was reading the questions. I found it very difficult, because we had such a turnover in the way that the school was running. And so when I read the questions, I tried to think about the last 6 months and not the prior 6 months. And so, but I'm not surprised that the results came out the way they did, because I think that we would all agree that we think that we're going in the right direction. Not that we weren't before, but I think this shows, and it's something that we can show the public that, here's hard data that we as a board feel that the school is doing these things very well, so.
I think, Laura, like you said, the standard 4 is something, I agree, and same with, like standard 3, just, we have such a large black of don't know.
Correct.
So, I mean, looking at maybe those questions, so it's like, as a board, we should probably know. So, if we're doing those things or not, I guess those would be both standard 3 and 4. We're not saying some of the time or never, we're just saying we have no idea if we're doing that as a district.
Yeah. It'd be
Something to
interesting
apply.
to see what those questions were, because maybe it's something we just
Doesn't
never
apply.
see,
Yeah.
or we hear about, so, yeah. So, we can always, think about it too, but,
It's kind of interesting to see how this compares to our evaluation of the strategic plan and the connection that, or not the connection that we might have when we're talking about, whether it's ethics or vision or structure, whatever it is, accountability. Are we getting the same answers from both when we do them, So as we finish up on writing or, evaluating the plan, it'll be interesting to kind of pull this one up again and see if they're kind of comparable in certain areas.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But in closing, for my thoughts, I liked what Hannah said in that, if we were a board that was really struggling, and there have been boards in the area that have struggled, and that, it would be worth the money to go to a 27-page and all that. But I personally feel right now that we've gotten information that's good. And now it's just to move forward and to watch it, for moving for another time.
I got docket copies.
all right. Any other comments about that? So maybe we'll just revisit this to see, I'm guessing like every 2 years would be a good thing, to do it, just so we maybe learn some more things in the 2 years. I mean, I don't know, what is everybody else's idea?
I think that makes sense based on term length as well, that every 2 years.
That's true.
Yeah. So. All right. All right, so we'll just kind of put a reminder in there for that and see where we go with that. All right, 5.5, the 2021 to 2026 Strategic Planning Accomplishment Review and Scoring. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If you recall, members of the school board, when I was doing my 90-day transition plan, one of the near-term priorities that I presented to the school board was to not only look at refreshing and rebranding and rebooting your future strategic plan, to look at what is next for Crosby-Ironton schools, but also taking the information behind me here that was put together in the year 2019, the strategic planning goals, focus areas, and objectives. And I presented to the school board a balanced scorecard concept that outlined all of these objectives and focus areas in detail. And then we set out behind the scenes to begin collecting artifacts and evidence to support, to validate, to celebrate the excellent work that the school district has done over the last 5 years, but also to identify accurately, transparently, how we've done in some of the areas maybe where we haven't hit the mark. So I presented a balanced scorecard, and I had asked administrators and several staff to help put together behind the scenes evidence and artifacts, and you've had that shared with you now the last couple months. We've been talking about it. And tonight I would like the school board to begin their scoring process on those objectives and focus areas. And it is going to be quite a bit to discuss and go through. So tonight I would recommend maybe picking 1 or 2 of those focus areas and beginning to talk about your personal reflections and ratings based on the information you've been provided, as well as your experience as a board member, as a parent, as a citizen of the Crosby-Ironton School District. So if you need copies of that scorecard, I can hand those out, or if you brought yours, that is fine as well.
I'll take another one. I'll take another one. I have notes.
Here. Anybody else have theirs?
I got mine.
And Madam Chair, okay. Madam Chair, at this time, I would recommend possibly choosing one area that you would like the board to talk about, to go through. And then again, we're looking at a 5, a 4, a 3, a 2, or a 1 rating for those objectives. A 5 meaning that the school district has exceeded the goal. 4 would be you're right on track where you expected to be when you set this goal 5 years ago. 3 is progressing, so the objective is being implemented consistently, but there's moderate progress. 2 would be emerging, some work has begun. Initial steps are in place, but there's been minimal impact. And then a 1 was this objective has not been started.
Does anybody care if we start with 4 and 5 today?
What was that, Laura?
4 and 5, facilities and finance.
That was my recommendation.
Just because I know I have stuff on the other ones, and I'm gonna be honest, I forgot my list at home, and I apologize. I knew where I was on these.
You know, before we start, that's what you just recommended is good. In looking and going through, especially like the student achievement one and this and that, we're gonna have, we need discussion and we need critical people here for some of the things to answer what's been happening that we might not have heard about that's on the thing. So after we're done with discussing these two, if there's that recommendation to bring somebody in at the next meeting, I'll make it, okay?
Did you,
Okay.
did you see the evidence, the one that Rick shared with the evidence? Because that does have stuff like from people on there.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
All right,
Okay.
so we'll start with focus area, number 4, facilities. Objectives are, the number 1 priority is that, the maintenance needs are addressed. 4.2, focus on maximizing efficiencies of the current facilities, and 4.3, create user-friendly and flexible learning spaces. Who wants to go with ideas, or where you kind of are looking at? Okay, I'll start. So,
Yeah.
I felt that we have met, our goals. I feel like we've met, I don't necessarily feel like these are our building projects, but the maintenance has been addressed that our district has needed. I feel like we have friendly and flexible learning spaces, and I feel that, we do maximize our efficiencies to the best of our abilities on current facilities. I mean, I know we've got some projects we're working on. One I always talk about is the doors, because, I mean, those get used a lot, so.
So what are you saying? Are you saying that we're exceeding or we're?
I would say that, my opinion is, I feel like we are meeting the needs that are needed. So I personally would do a 5 on those,
All 3 of them?
all 3 of them.
Okay.
I would like to, but there's always room for improvement, so I just said on track and going in the
Okay.
right direction.
Yep, no, that's fine.
I would say for the first one, the number 1 priority, that maintenance needs are being addressed. I think with with stretching our staffing to as far as it can go, with not being able to find help when we need it, I need the extra help when certain things need to happen and all that. I like the idea that we're on track, but I also think that we're progressing. I think that that is one that our staff that we have existing and all that are always striving to meet the goal, but it's almost impossible to do that with the people that we have and with what we have, but we are working towards it. So I would give that a 3. I gave that a 3, number 1. And then number 2 a 4 and number 3 a 4. Just because we can always, look, if I gave somebody a 5, it means I'm gonna pull it off of the page and that it's gonna go night-night. And facilities, in my mind, it's always there because we're utilizing them 24/7 a lot of times, I mean, and it's there, so, that's why I gave the 4s.
So, I pulled up the scorecard evidence too, as we're talking here, and I agree with you, Barb, on 4.1, I gave it a 3 as well. I just feel like we're going towards it, but I would agree, and I think there's been some changes. I know, if you talk to our maintenance staff, the implement of the FMX schedule has probably helped a lot, because I think, and I don't know if all the board knows this, but, so the FMX schedule, staff members can put in there and put it in an order, and so then the custodians see that. And so I think that has really helped, That I know very little about that, just like a sliver of it. I think that's helped, but I would agree, I think with being such staffed and, you know, being down one custodian overall, I put us as a 3 is there. And then 4.2 for the evidence, it's got like facility scheduling, community ed schedule, operational efficiencies, LED lightings, accommodations. And I put us at a 3. I just feel like there still could always be, I mean, I still think we're doing things, but I put us at a 3 for that. Just in terms of like using our space wisely. I know we're always gonna have conflicts or issues, with scheduling and facilities. And then the 4.3, some of the evidence for that is the Crest remodel, the media center remodel, a lot of the flexible furniture. I put us at a 4 for that, cause I was gonna put us at a 5, but I was like, Tommy, like, there's always room for improvement. But I do think we've really modernized this space. It's really, really user-friendly, and if you hear, when people come to our schools with other events, you'll hear them comment like, oh, wow, like, look at this, or like, people that come in the media center are like, oh, wow, you know, I mean, or, you know, any of our rooms, or like I said, our commons, you know, I heard a lot of comments this weekend, just how, like, with the benches and the higher tables and the, you know, just different gathering spots, people do like that, so I did give us a 4 or a 5, 4.3, but I do think we have some work still on 4.1 and 4.2.
I'll go next. I interpreted a little bit of the objectiveness of ongoing process as sort of built in. So I gave us a 5 across all 3, similar to Laura, with the assumption that things are ongoing as per the audit last week that we got, or last time that we got the report on. I especially appreciated all of the reflection on 4.3, creating user-friendly and flexible learning spaces. When I think about how the kids are using these spaces that we've created, how it's creating community, how the spaces are really invitational, and to the public as well. Anytime I walk through the building, there's people in these spaces and they're utilizing it really well, and that felt like a 5 to me.
Mr. Taylor?
All right, perfect, my turn. So, on number, I don't disagree with Ms. Brisman and Mr. Sablon. I think we do a really good job, and I think that, these 3 questions were very important. But I don't feel like we should give ourselves a 5, because I don't think that we're really knocking out of the park in any place. But that doesn't mean we're not doing a good job, because I do know that our maintenance department has been short. So, we can always do better in that aspect. So, for number 1, I gave it a 4. Number 2, I gave it 3, and I'll tell you why. There's a few things that, in our facility that we're still kind of lacking behind. One thing is, and I've said this before, our concession stand is a box and is very, like, I don't know how Mike hasn't come in here and said, listen, like, we gotta do something, because, you know, I can barely work in here. There's not enough room. It's not conducive when people want to come up there and get stuff. You know, it just doesn't work very well compared to when you go to other schools. And then also our PE gym is like 1,000 degrees, and there's really no way to cool it down once it gets hot. Over this last weekend, we had the youth tournament, and that was one thing that I thought that, you know, if there was any complaint that somebody could have had, it gets very warm in there. And so it would be nice if we could, even if we're not put air conditioning in there, if we can just have some sort of a way to get air flowing and moving through there, so. And then the 4.3, I think we do, that's probably the thing that I think I could give it a 5, because I think that's probably something that I think when you come to our schools and you go see our classrooms and you see CRES, and that's a good CRES and the CTE wing in the high school, I think are in our Mrs. Larson, I can't think of what she teaches at CRES.
STEAM?
STEM, our STEM is out of this world. I mean, we are so amazing when it comes to that stuff, but I always want to also strive to do a little better, so I gave ourselves a 4 on that one, so.
Okay. All right, so, did you get all those?
Did you do it?
I did.
Yeah. All right, so we'll move on to focus area goal number 5. Or did you want me to stop?
Just a suggestion.
Okay.
If you want to, on the back of the scorecard,
We're averaging it, all right?
bear with me as I talk golf lingo here, but this is your scorecard. And one suggestion, Madam Chair, is now that you've had some good public dialogue regarding the facilities objectives outlined in your strategic plan, each board member has had a chance to publicly talk about how the district has done in that area. You could, at this time, do an average for
This is our average.
your school board's average. I'd recommend you averaging that and then putting a final number under where it says score there, under each one.
Okay,
And then giving yourself an overall average for your facilities as a whole. So you have an average for each objective and then an average for the entire focus area.
So you just wanted to go through and then add them? Yep. Okay, so Mark, what is yours for 4?
4.
4.
sure, you add them.
Tammy?
Four.
I've got them if you want.
Oh, you've got them?
Okay, perfect. Can you average them then, in your head?
Yeah, the only one I can't do, I think I got right. So the first group adds to 24, divided by 6 is an average score of 4. The second group adds to 24, divided by 6 is an average of 4.
Excuse me.
And then the third group is a 26, divided by 6, which I believe to be 4.5.
We were all fretting, and he had it all figured out over there.
Yeah, see?
It's like Johnny on the
So
spot.
what's our average on that then?
The average of the averages?
The average of averages?
Oh dear.
5 by 3.
It'd be
12.5.
12.5 divided by
6.
3.
Oh,
3
the 3,
items,
sorry,
right?
3. So 3.125
It's 4.125 or something.
What was it, 4.3?
by 3. Yeah, if we're dividing by 3.
It's 26, Hannah, do you have 20?
Yeah, 26 divided by 6.
Is that 4.3
It's
or
4
4?
point, no, sorry, 26, I can't do my fingers, sorry, 26 divided by 6 is 4.3333.
Okay,
So,
it is
yeah,
4.3, so 12.3
So plus 8, yeah, is divided by 3,
is 4.1.
4.111.
0.1.
So 4.1
Okay,
is our average.
so our average on objective 4 is 4.1. Is that what I'm hearing?
Is that everybody's tally?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's our average.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right. Now we'll move on to number 5, finances. Okay. 5.1, the district will maintain a fund balance of 7 to 12%. And 5.2, the Crosby-Ironton School District will strive for financial stability by continually monitoring expenses and researching new revenue sources.
I'll go first. So I'm gonna go backwards. I'm gonna go 5.2 first. So for 5.2 first, I put a 4. I think we do very well with that. I think the new board that we have, I think that's one thing that we always strive at every meeting, especially when it comes to finances, is there's always one of us, if not numerous of us, going, okay, hang on a second here. Let's talk about this. Let's make sure that everybody's, on the same page. So I think we did really well in that. 5.1, that was a difficult one for me because I know that we went under that when we made up the budget for this year. Assuming that, we were hoping that obviously, we would pass a referendum, which we were lucky enough to get. And so, I still gave us a 4 on that, because I think that was something that we always, from when I got on the board and when I listened to the previous boards, that was something that they always talked about. It was very important that they stayed in that fund balance, area, so I got a 4 and a 4.
I did the same, 4 and 4. 5.1, I think that we always continue to strive to maintain that fund balance in that range. And the only time that it really got away from us is when we had our backs against the wall. And so, but we were still thinking about it. All of us were thinking about it. How do we stay in that range? So, I put 4s on both of them because I felt the same way as Mr. Taylor.
Can you bring up, because I must have
Because
read
actually, you
something
guys
different.
did not look at the evidence.
Yeah, I
because
was
we
like,
actually
that is
stayed-
not what the evidence said, but the evidence for 5.1. I thought the same thing, I thought it would be low, but
But it actually is good.
all of our numbers are above
Yeah, it's
the
nine-
7%.
Yeah, 19%,
So-
15.6, 17.1, 15.4.
Yeah, our lowest was this year, or whatever that last one
13.2.
was 13.2.
And that was
Yeah.
June 30th.
So I was like,
And
did
that's
I
where
read
I
something
put on here
wrong?
that maybe, I did a 4 too, a 4, but on the fund balance, maybe we need to up it.
Oh,
We
higher
need to
than
look
7
at
to
saying,
12?
maybe it should be 9% and
15.
whatever.
Oh, for next
Or
strategic
8
plan?
for next year and all that, because if we are staying, although then you have, like we were talking before the meeting, then you have the legislature pulling crap on you and taking money away from you all the time and that, so, but we have done, I think, we've done a really good job in staying in it, and Bill has, and Rick, so. But it's continual
I
too,
just wanted
so
to make
it's
sure
not
I
like
wasn't the
goodbye.
only one.
I was gonna call them out and be like, did you guys look at the evidence?
I was like,
Did you
did
do
I
your
miss
homework?
something? Okay, sorry, guys.
An executive decision, I thought that was good, so.
No, that's fine. It is a personal thing, so, yep.
Personal.
I'll go next. I waffled honestly between 4 and 5 on the first one, on 5.1, and then the same between 3 and 4 on 5.2. I'm gonna settle on a 5 for 5.1. There's always going to be a little bit of crisis, no matter what angle we approach things from, and there are things that are existing on a crisis level outside of our ability to control it. So if I monitor our progress by forces that we have no control or no say over, then we're always gonna be waffling between a negative idea. So I chose number 5 because we truly are, and by we, I mean our superintendent and our Bill. Thank goodness for them. So a 5 for 5.1 for me, and then a 4 on 5.2, just because it feels very much ongoing. We're trying to stay on top of things as much as we possibly can, stay aware of everything, and monitor continually so that we do our best.
Like I said, I went 4 and 4.
Okay. So I went 5 on 5.1 just because the evidence there to me showed that we were in that fund balance percentage.
You're actually above it.
Yeah, we just, what I meant by these are personal things, it's how we feel on what was handed to us. And that's fine if.
No, I won't take offense to it at all,
Yeah.
no, absolutely not.
And then 5.2, I did a 4, only because I feel like we kind of struggle, and maybe every district does this, in researching new revenue sources. I just feel like nobody has found that yet. So, but otherwise, I feel like we try and keep financial stability within our district, when it's in our control.
Yep, I gave 5.1 a 5, just based on the evidence of I know it seemed like at certain times of our talks that we were gonna be below, but we were, based on the evidence, the unreserved balance was well above 12%. We were, like I said, the closest last year with 13.2. So we weren't even in the 7 to 12, so I did give that a 5. 5.2, I gave us a 3. I agree with Laura, that we do not research the revenue is good, and then I also just feel like that no matter what our budget is, that we always need to be fine tuning it, we always need to be like checking, and I know it's probably a frustration of personal choice of when we have like a budget, let's say for the science, or we have a budget for facts, that that we're not, I guess that's just my personal opinion, that budgets should be kept, rather than just like, oh, we have an overall budget of 13 million, so it's okay if it just ends up in the wash. But like I said, that's just my personal, school finance is very complicated. I just think we always need to be looking for, how do we fine tune, how do we, if we're not using this curriculum, or we're not using this software, how are we always checking on that? It's just the checks and balances. It's very complicated. I do not envy anybody that has that responsibility in our district to keep track of that, so.
All right.
Help me with the
Yes, yes.
27 divided by 6,
4.5,
and 23 divided by 6.
3.83.
8.3 divided by 2,
4.16.
so 4.16 is the weighted average for the,
All right. All right, so, all right, so we'll just kind of look at, I feel like objective 1 is going to be a little bit longer, so maybe we should select that. Look at that at our March meeting. Is everyone okay with that?
Work session or the meeting? I think I'd rather do it at the work session.
Work session?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's less formal and I think,
Okay,
And then do you want to schedule 2 and 3, so we know?
if we, yeah, wait and see how quick we get through that, because maybe we'll surprise ourselves, and then might be able to move on to one of the other two.
Okay.
Okay?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Take it away, Mark.
All right. Thank you guys for your input on that.
Did that go the way that you wanted it, Rick?
Went very
I
well.
mean, with what input from us and
I
all
think the
that?
most important thing is you're having the dialogue, you're talking about the celebrations, you're talking about areas you want to improve on, and it is likely when we complete the reboot of the strategic plan, we keep some of these objectives and goals based on the feedback you get from your stakeholders. So it's good you're having these conversations now, they're fresh in your mind, and when we complete the updated strategic planning process, you may revisit some of these. But it's good to kind of see where everybody's at and to look at the evidence. So I thought that was well done.
Okay, perfect. All right. The 5.6 strategic plan refresh survey questions.
We are nearing the end of the planning phases of the strategic plan reboot, and March 9th, we will be kicking it off with stakeholder surveys, and then throughout the month of March, we will be inviting all of our stakeholders to attend either in-person or virtual sessions to provide ideas, guidance, input on the next steps for Crosby-Ironton schools. This is an extremely important and exciting time for our district because we get to hear from all of the people involved, including our students, on what they want to see as our next steps. So the surveys will go out. All school board members have been shared digital and paper copies. I have a few of them have been returned with some ideas and suggestions. I appreciate that. So if you are still reviewing and there are things you'd like added to those surveys or changed or wordsmithed, if you could get that to me by this Friday, so I can get in and edit those surveys and begin to prepare to get those sent out to all the stakeholders. So it's exciting. We're just about ready to kick that off. I would just like to put a plug in for the in-person sessions, March 24th, 3:30, right here in the forum room. March 26th at Cress, and that will be at 3:30 as well. And then there's a virtual session that following Monday, March 30th, via Zoom. That Zoom link will be sent out to all of our families. If they're out of town, maybe they're gone for the winter, but they still want to participate, all will be able to log in to that link. And sessions should take anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on how many people are involved in them.
Do you know how you're facilitating that?
I do, yeah. I can go through it again if you'd like. So we're.
No, just the Zoom, that's
Oh,
what I
the
meant,
Zoom.
the Zoom, like, is
We'll be
someone gonna
using, we'll be
hand out
using
questions?
we'll be using breakout rooms.
Oh, okay, all right, oh, yeah,
So there'll be 4 people per breakout room, and then they'll have a tool to record their conversations and come back into the room, and then a spokesperson will share what was talked about
okay.
in those sessions.
Yeah, that's
So-
what I meant, sorry, not all of them.
Yes.
Please remind me, no.
Forward to that. And are there questions, wonderings, ideas, or suggestions from board members regarding the upcoming strategic planning process?
Questions? Doesn't look like it. All right, we'll move on to 5.7, finance and budget. I'm assuming this has to do with Mr. Tollefson?
We want to do the projection?
Yeah, that'd be great. Madam Chair, as Mr. Tollefson is handing out some documents, we are continuing dialogue for the 2026-27 school district budget. The factors going into that, enrollment, staffing, and everything the like. So we'll begin conversations tonight looking at some enrollment projections and providing you with any information that you may need as we look at our budget forecast for the 26-27 school year. I will also be asking Mr. Tollefson to briefly address and discuss some of the compensatory revenue information that we've received through our webinars and give you some information about that. There's not a whole lot I will be sharing in terms of legislative items. I have a brief report coming up, but there's not a lot going on right now in terms of legislature with finance at the Capitol. So with that, Mr. Tollefson, I'll turn it over to you if you want to start with the enrollment document that you handed out.
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Ollie. So we've completed an enrollment projection, the enrollment as of yesterday. So a reminder on enrollment, the enrollment for the current year, as we're working toward the revised budget, is based on the average enrollment. The enrollment for the subsequent year is based on the last day of enrollment that we have records for presently, flipped forward, and then we do an adjustment to reduce, to soften that number by taking one away from every other grade level. And then we have an additional softening factor of 10 that's proved to work pretty successfully in the past. So if you'll see that kind of written out in that yellow strip along the top. And if you go to 25, 26, that's been now updated to include the averages through the 6-month period ending the first week in February. And those numbers then are adjusted forward. So you'll see 54, the column that starts with 54 in kindergarten. And if you go down, you'll see that average. We've been talking about an average. The preliminary budget was built on an average of 1,006. If you find that kind of right in the middle under grand total pupil units and move across, you'll find 1,007. The preliminary budget was built on 1,006, so we're doing okay there. We're estimating 15 early childhood special ed students. We're estimating 15 tuition students those are students who are some other place for which we're paying service for a specialized program. And then we still have, because this late winter, early spring can be a queasy time for the enrollment, we have a mid-year decline. We've adjusted that down from 10 to 5 because we're so close to the end of the year. So that makes our total local pupil units 1,032. After going through that same exercise, and I believe we talked in the work session about having a current kindergarten enrollment projection somewhere between 71 and 73 students right now identified. We've used the lower of those two numbers, so 71 you see at the top of the next column. And then we've advanced those numbers because those numbers are close to where we're actually at, reducing one every other grade level. So I'll take you down to that total student count. Goes from 918 in the kind of the middle under grand totals, 918 to 910, a reduction of 8 students. And the pupil unit count goes from 1,007 to 1,001. We continue to estimate 15 early childhood special ed pupil units and 15 tuition pupil units, and then we throw that mid-year decline factor back to 10, which is the number we've historically been using. That's been kind of working to bring us close to the actual. And that moves us to 1,021 pupil units. Those would be the total pupil units that we would build the budget on if we were doing that today for the preliminary budget for next year. You can then see, just based on straight advancing the 26, 27 numbers and dropping kindergarten back to an earlier average of 60. We want to identify trend before we change that too much. But if kindergarten stays around 60 or somewhere thereabouts, you can see how those pupil unit numbers go out into the future. The only other item that has changed on this enrollment projection at this point is if you drop to the bottom, the homeschool and traditional non-public numbers, which we get in October, have been added to the projection, just as informational items. And so you'll see homeschool now being at 240 resident students attending homeschool. Those are updated now to be both those homeschools that are noted as in compliance and out of compliance in our October report. So some of the earlier years might change. We were able to very quickly this afternoon go back to 24, 25 and find the in compliance and out of compliance. And that number is at 197, which is maybe a slightly higher than the number that you would have seen previously. The earlier years, we have some suspicion, maybe just reporting the in compliance number. And we'll make our way back through that data as time allows us to do that. But for right now, know that those last two numbers to the right include both the in and out of compliance, which is a much better count of the number of students, resident students who are being afforded an education in each of those settings.
What does it mean, non-compliant?
Non-compliance means that for some reason there was some issue that they weren't able to be in the in-compliant thing, and I don't know exactly what all the rules were. We'll work on that too. It's filling in the report, the annual report, I think, is one of them. Maybe credentialing of what the teacher is. There are a number, I think, of number of factors. Do you know, Mr. Olney, any more specific?
We'll dig into that though. Good question.
Any questions regarding the enrollment report? This will be updated at least one more time, but this will give us a start at the both the revised budget and the preliminary budget that we'll be working on. And also then, if you're ready to transition to the big sheet, these numbers have been now incorporated into the
Bill, I
big
got
sheet.
one
Mr.
question on
Taylor.
the smaller sheet first.
Yeah,
I see that our, as of February 1st of next year, we'll be done with the tennis court expansion?
yes.
Okay, what does that look like?
So that will be an item, that's an item that we're getting additional levy authority for.
Okay,
So we'll actually see a slight levy reduction
Okay.
For the value of the August and February payments that are made for that.
got it.
I apologize off the top of my head, Mr. Taylor. I
Oh, that's
don't know
okay.
what the amount is, but I think it's somewhere around 30,000
A year. Okay,
Yep. So we'll make those last two payments, and then those will drop off
those will drop off. Okay.
the debt service schedule and off of the property tax.
Got
Great
it.
question, thank you. All right, so if you look at the big page, this is the enrollment this is the projection model for the unreserved portion of the general fund only. You're used to that, you're used to the fact that this kind of starts as a snake with the head of the snake down on the lowest yellow, which happens to be 22, 23, the beginning fund balance audited, and then it goes to the top, adds the revenue, subtracts the expenditures, both of those being unreserved general, not total general fund, coming down to the projected or actual unreserved fund balance. Everything in yellow is final and audited. So you can see that we've now gone to final and audited for 24-25, ending 24-25 in the middle of the page at that projected fund balance of $1,726,000 or 13.28%. Then as you go back to the top of the 25-26 column, those numbers have not changed. Those are based on the preliminary budget. We're working on a scorecard as an interim to the adoption of the revised budget. which will show some changes to those. That's not finalized enough yet to be able to do that. And as I mentioned in the enrollment for this year was almost spot on to the projection. So we're not anticipating a whole lot of increase on the revenue or change on the revenue side. If you take those down, you will see to the right of the three yellow columns that the fund balance, as has been indicated in discussions earlier this evening, does drop to a projected $696,081, or about 5%, which is below the 7 to 12% target. What we're looking at tonight specifically is the impact on 26-27. And so if you go to the back, or to the top of the column again, the revenue carries forward from the last year, carried forward unadjusted. And then we have a declining enrollment factor because, as we just went through, the enrollment was declining. That accounts for a revenue loss of about $59,000. The formula, and these are, by the way, the enrollment information is to the left. And you can see those numbers, the 1,032 and the 1,021, if you look and find those on the left under 25, 26, and 26, 27. The 1,021 pupil units, so down 11 pupil units total, times that pupil unit allowance is what comes out to that 59,000. There is a softening factor that impacts that called declining pupil unit aid of 28% of the difference, and that's why the math doesn't work mentally there, but the math works out to that 59,000 in reduced revenue. The department just released a week and a half ago the final general education allowance for 26-27. That's now based on a minimum of 2% and a maximum of 3%, but set as the rate for the established by the Consumer Price Index for urban something or other. Thank goodness they do it and not me. It's 2.69%, I believe, is the number. And if you see over on the left again, that 26-27, where the 1,021 was, you see that number right below that. So that's $7,683. It goes from 7,000, if you look immediately to the left of that, it goes from 7,481 to 7,683, or an increase of $202 a pupil unit. So everyone find those numbers and understand what I'm talking about. So that goes into, going back to the snake, that goes into that 202,117 in formula increase, so $202 times roughly 1,000 pupil units, right? Then as we continue down, we have some revenue adjustments. The first, and these are explained at the bottom. So the first one is $75,000. Current law provided for a bump in special education revenue to be effective in 26-27. That legislation is about 3 years old and is now potentially in play as not happening because of the November forecast at the state level was a $2.4 billion surplus for the current biennium, which ends at the end of this year, and then a deficit of $3 billion for the next biennium. It'll depend on the mood of the legislature in what they do, but this continues to assume that current law will prevail, and that $75,000 estimate will come as additional revenue in 26-27. Then below that, immediately below that, is a number $1,531,500. That's based on, if you look to the right, if you look to the left, you'll see the number 1,500. That was the pupil unit, the allowance per pupil unit from the operating referendum. So we're now adding that in for the first time, based on those 1,021 pupil units. That generates $1.531 million, bringing the total revenue to $14,612. On the expenditure side, we're making some initial adjustments to the expenditures. Remember that we're keeping the number from 25-26 preliminary and bringing it into 26-27. And then we're going down to the bottom again for a number of adjustments that total $526,000. So we're estimating presently one potential staff retirement. Typically, when we see those, we have a senior staff who's been here a long time, who's well-trained over on the lower right-hand corner of the teacher salary matrix, replaced by someone who's a beginner. Now, you know that there are 2 retirements already slated to take place with senior staff who are at the bottom of the schedule and somewhere close to being to the farthest of the right. For right now, we're planning on one of those probably, and this is a shot in the dark, but we're planning on one of those being replaced by someone with some miles on them, and one of them being replaced by someone at the beginning, at the top of the schedule. There could be some fluctuation as we move through that. So know that that number, that cost savings could be anywhere between 25 and 50,000, depending on which position you take. So the projection looks at one of those positions being replaced by a newbie, and one of those positions being replaced by someone with more miles on them than a newbie. Under that, we kind of talked about in the board work session the fact that the combination room might be a priority to split apart into 2 separate homerooms. And we're estimating right now each FTE, each teacher FTE, to be an average of 70,000 just for planning purposes. So you see an additional cost of 70,000 added to be rid of the combination room. We have a negotiations factor. This is the softest number on this projection of 280,000. The reason we need to do that is because, remember, we're taking the 25-26 preliminary expenditures and advancing them as the base. And so we have salary settlements and other cost settlements on top of that that we need to factor in. And then we have the basic skills adjustment. So we are now at the end of what current law has provided as 2 hold harmlesses to the 2023 legislation that changed the calculation of basic skills from free and reduced meal students, a combination of what are direct certification, those who qualify for some sort of government assistance program, and those who have been filling out the traditional paper applications. We're now going to 100% based exclusively on the direct certifications. For us, that number is significantly less than the combined total. And so we're expecting a reduction there of about 248,000. Now you say, that number looks like 201,000. There is a difference because the law sets a minimum that the state will pay out. And right now that minimum is less, the actual is less than what the department estimates the minimum to be. I don't know if I'm saying that right. So we have the minimum here, and the formula provides revenue here. That additional margin is $400 estimated by the department per qualifying student, which takes away about $50,000.
We're below the minimum, I mean,
We would normally be minus 250, but when that 400 is added at the state level, it'll take it up about $50,000 more than what just the straight up count would be. So therefore, we're estimating that 201,000. In the current 25-26 preliminary budget, we are spending all available compensatory revenue at $1 million plus. The revenue is going to be $800,000 plus. And so that cost may have to shift back, depending on what our reserve for compensatory fund balance is. It may have to shift back into the unreserved account. That will continue to be tweaked as we move through the budgeting process. But assuming that all of it has to go back, that makes the adjustment $526,000 in additional expense. And then we have a normal inflationary adjustment factor for other non-personnel items of $25,000, moving the expenses to $14,444,000. And that moves our projected fund balance from $696,000 to $864,000, or if I could round that to that 5.98 to 6%. So 6%. That means we're right now projecting to be slightly below the 7% fund balance policy. The policy indicates then that we have to work to try to get above 7% or at 7% or more as a part of the budgeting process. So we were hopeful that we were going to end up with a much better fund balance. If you remember the sustainability goals, if the operating referendum were successful, the first one was to maintain that fund balance at a minimum of 7 to 12%. We're going to be just a little bit below that. So the primary driver of that is almost 2% that's tied up in the change in compensatory revenue. That loss of $201,000 in compensatory revenue changes that projection. So that we wanted you to have this information as you look at how we continue to plan. We have a number of, as we went through in the work session, we have a number of ideas for new positions, which are going to be difficult to simply add without looking at maybe some adjustment and those sorts of things as we continue to plan or proceed through the planning process for 26, 27. With that, I talked way too much. I apologize. I will shut up and field any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Tollefson?
I have a question. So with that, the basic skills adjustment, I think it was, yeah, right, or the 201. So, prior years, we incentivize, filling out the form and stuff. Now that it's onto the, they're verifying, like, if they're on food stamps, correct, or if they're on Medicare, right? Medicaid, yeah.
Yeah.
Medicare is for older people. Medicaid, is there anything we can, is it like a resource that the community ed could offer or something to help families that qualify for that, maybe that aren't? Is that something, not saying we should put a bunch of resources at that, but is that the only way we would get that number up, is to have more families that maybe meet those but aren't utilizing those services? Does that sound right?
More of those people would need to be referred to social service
Yeah.
to complete whatever the application
So they,
process is.
when they fill out the free and reduced lunch form, they're qualifying, but those people are not utilizing the other social services.
Right, and they would not qualify for compensatory. However, they are helping us with other factors that are still using the paper application of free and reduced.
Okay.
So it becomes kind of a catch-22. We're still encouraging people, as many people as possible to apply for the paper application if they aren't already direct certified because they're on some other form of assistance. And that helps us with things like E-rate and
So it still would be beneficial if we had families fill that out?
it still would be beneficial. It's just not helping the compensatory revenue
okay.
anymore. And that was where the real money was in the process, but it still is helpful.
That's disappointing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, I don't want to encourage families to be, to be utilizing more government services if they are not, but that's how we're getting funding. That's really disappointing in our legislative and government.
Was there anything, Mr. Ollie, that?
Nope, I
didn't
thank you for
cover?
your time in getting this recalibrated information for the school board. It'll be very important as they have discussions now about maintenance and sustainability measures moving forward. So, well done, and are there questions at this time for either myself or Mr. Tollefson regarding the 26-27 budget or the budget process and timeline?
Looks like we can move on.
Thank you.
All right. 5.8, community ed restructure. I believe everybody has this printout. Is that correct? Okay. Did you need to say something, Mr. Tollefson?
No, and we just have one more handout when you're
Oh.
ready, Mr. Ollie. You can let me know and I'll hand that out. No?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Now's the time.
I was like, huh?
As Mr.
nod.
Tollefson is handing out this document when we met at our last work session to begin the process of talking about the community ed position that we will need to be posting here in the next few weeks. One of the recommendations and suggestions was to bring a little more calibrated, detailed cost analysis of where money will be spent, what pockets will money be taken from, should we go with said restructure plan. So Mr. Tollefson went to task and put together a detailed funding analysis to accompany the community education staffing discussions that you're going to have. So there's some notes on the bottom there, Mr. Tollefson, if you want to maybe just walk us through those, so we have a clearer idea of what this represents.
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Ollie. The top of the form is in the same matrix format or cell format that the original form was in, with the exception that we did not do option B. We would be happy to add option B if there were any interest in that. So we have option A, which was the current situation. And on the left side of the form, you'll see where and this is salary only, so it's not salary and benefits for right now. Know that there would be some additional costs, but in the same proportional relationship as the salary only. So community ed itself, basic community ed in the current structure is picking up $60,339 of the director's salary. And early learning, which has a whole bunch of rules about how much limiting the amount that you can spend on program administration. We're maxing that out right now at that $10,000. So we're charging $10,000 of that salary to running the early learning programs. There are 4 buckets of funding that happen in that area. That brings the total salary at the bottom to $70,339. That is based on, that's note 1 at the bottom, which unfortunately is not numbered. I should have done that. I apologize. The current structure is based on 200 days at 8 hours a day, or 1,600 hours a year. Does everyone find that note? Option C and option D are both under the second note. Those are based on an estimate that was on the earlier kind of spreadsheet that we had, which was for 150 days. We assumed 8 hours a day just to do the calculation. That's 1,200 hours in a fiscal period, and we used the higher of the rates on that rate, the rates that were indicated on that original sheet at $40 an hour. That comes to $48,000. So you can see what happens in community ed. Again, these are based on estimates of how much we think the workload is. What we would do in actuality is that we would complete a time study based on however the job description and the workload is finally set. But for right now, know that these are based on estimates. So we're assuming half of that time is for community ed type work, and that would be $24,000 in both C and the C and D options. In both the C and D options, there would be no early learning coordination. So there would be nothing there. There would be another position that would be shifted in to coordinate.
Sorry to interrupt, and just for the transparency of options C and D, those duties would be restructured to our elementary principal and superintendent.
Would that result in a potential pay increase that we'd have to for them?
There would be no additional compensation for the employees doing that work.
Okay.
Option C involved a discussion about communications. We've estimated that to be about 20% of that total 1,200 hour position, and that would account for $9,600. That would be costs that would be incurred in the general fund or in the communication and marketing area of the budget. Know that, and you'll see somewhere down there, note 4, some communications and activity costs in the general fund will offset costs that are already being incurred. So these may not necessarily account for additional costs. They would be just reassigned to this position and other places where costs would be incurred would be reduced.
So that's total, but you're saying like if there's a position that's doing something of it already, that would be a minus from that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And then within that, the job duties that were outlined in that column C, option C column, the rest related to working with activities, in this case, option C, and we're estimating that to be about 30% of that time, or about $14,400, bringing us back to that $48,000 total. Again, those would be, some of those costs we were already incurring in some other way, shape, or form, and this would be one person providing more consistency and doing it as part of their job position. If you look at option D had some different placeholders for position duties. Again, we continue to use the half of that time doing community ed work at $24,000. We left the activities at 30% of that job task, or about $14,400. That would be in the general fund. I failed to mention that in option C. That would be a general fund cost. And then the option D involved some restructuring on how we're doing concessions, and concessions is presently accounted for in Fund 11. Concessions, as noted in the very last note on the page, operates under a profit loss model. This would be similar to what we're doing now, but instead of this position actually working in the concession stand each night, it would be doing the more administrative tasks like maintaining the inventory, ordering product, scheduling groups to volunteer to work in the concession stand. So this would be more coordination. We're estimating that to be about 20% of the position. Again, those numbers are subject to change, and that cost would shift to Fund 11 in the concession stand, be covered by concession stand expense, thus adjusting the kind of the remaining profit that would be distributed back to activities.
Thank you for doing this, Mr. Thompson.
You're welcome.
Further conversations, questions, or clarifications from board members at this time?
I have some comments, a couple comments. In reviewing everything and a lot of thought process and that,
Hold on.
I feel,
Barb, your microphone is dead.
I don't have, my mic's dead. I feel really strongly that we need to open this position as a full-time community ed position. The other options we could look at if nobody applies, if we don't have anybody to do it. Anything else we do, the way this is restructured in my mind, sends a solid message to the community that this board does not support community education, that we are watering it down, that we are giving it tasks such as, well, concessions and activities and scheduling and this and that, where what is the purpose of it? If we're going to levy and we're going to get the dollars for community education, which we need, where legally we have to have a director with our population and everything else, and that we need to come to agreement, what do we see as that job? Now, the way it's set up here is if we cut their job in 2/3 or half or whatever and all that, and I know in visiting with Mr. Ollie, you know, he made the comments that then we'd have half of the dollars that come in for community ed would be available to put into the preschool program and offer free preschool, et cetera, and all that. So, and I'm not against that, don't get me wrong, but I think that we would be making a huge mistake if we do not post this as a full-time community ed position for somebody that is educated in the norms, the values of what that position could do for this community and all that. And if it doesn't work out, if nobody applies for it and all that, then we got to go back to the drawing board, which we have done, which you have some parameters set.
So I looked at, yeah, thank you, Mr. Tolleson, for getting these numbers together. It's very helpful to be able to see exactly where the money's gonna come from and then what the job's gonna look like. I don't disagree with you, Barb. I think that it would be great for us to be able to have a full-time community ed person and, you know, the way it is right now. However, you know, we gotta figure out how to do more with less, and right now, our community ed is, it's not as robust as I think we would like it to be, and so we're kind of already at a point where the community has, it's not gonna be noticed as much if we restructure it in a way that we get more bang for our buck, so I'm more of a favor of a C or a D, and I'm probably more in favor of the D than I am the C, only because I think that, having the community ed person, even though they probably would, we could find somebody that knows marketing and everything like that, but I feel like that's more of a niche that somebody has, and it might be difficult to find somebody that has the community ed niche, the marketing niche, and then also has the niche to take care of all the activities and stuff, so I think it'd be a lot easier to find somebody that fills the community ed, the activities, and then just oversees the concession stand, just basically does administrative work, you know, does the ordering, does the monitoring, signs, you know, make sure people are there to work and stuff like that. It's not a difficult job, but I think that would fit more into what that person would be doing every day. So that's kind of where I stand.
Mr. Ollie, can you repeat, please, what you said about early learning not being a part of option C or option D, and how that role would be then delegated to others?
Certainly. So in the current structure, our community ed director oversees the entire preschool program. So they're working on the budget, they're working on staffing things, they're working on overseeing registration, screening. There's a lot of things I'm missing, I'm sure, but there's a lot of duties that they're doing. All of those duties would be under the oversight of the elementary principal. We would have a coordinator 1 day a week do a lot of the day-to-day, the screening, the communications, working with staff on several things to be determined. Sure. But the overall oversight, and when you look at the chain of responsibility and the organizational structure, all of that would be moved under our elementary programming and superintendent.
Okay, thank you.
Did that help?
It does help, yep. I think my leading question is, if we are looking at our early childhood development program to be a funnel of sorts, are we shooting ourselves in the foot by cutting out a program or redistributing duties in such a way that it doesn't prioritize the program to the degree that it could? That's my fear. I don't want to overburden someone who is already greatly burdened with tasks and then, short ourselves in the long haul. That would be my biggest fear.
So I would counter that, and I would say by having it under community ed right now, we are doing a disservice to it, because it's this kind of like, our current community ed structure is not in the building on a regular basis, so there's like this influx of like, who's the chain of command, I need a sub, this question, a parent registered, but they showed up, so there's just a lot of like discombobulation at no fault to the community ed structure right now. It's just how it is. I think Mr. Ollie can speak to Pine River that this is their structure, their principal is in charge, and I think that's just a cleaner approach, is that, rather than the principal telling the preschool staff, well, I'm not your chain of command, you need to ask this person, rather they're there every day. So I think this would actually put our preschool at a better priority, and I think if we kept it under community ed, it would be a disservice, because it has been just kicked down the road, and our preschool really is our feeder. And that's my biggest concern. I know, Barb, your biggest concern is our community ed structure and our, we're doing a disservice to the community. I agree, like it's hard when you were a part of it and you see how great it can be. And I guess I feel that way with preschool. Like, I see how great our preschool could be, and if we keep it in the current structure, we are doing a huge disservice to our preschool.
You know, Hannah, that's a really good point. I'm sorry to interrupt you in that, but my point is if we find somebody that has just completed their degree and all that, you know, we're trained in early childhood. I mean, we really haven't had a director for a long time that has a background in early childhood that's there to help and that. So that's one of my main concerns about going maybe with a full-time, looking for a couple weeks or 3 weeks, whatever. We really aren't in any rush. I mean, we aren't, so I do agree with you.
Yeah, I guess I feel in regards to your, like, that we're doing a disservice, and it's hard. There's so many things in our community that they're doing. If you read the Courier, there's, sourdough classes, there's soap making classes, there's, there's movies at the library. There's so many things our community is doing, and I came from a community that had a really huge community ed program. They actually did the summer school, and they were phenomenal. Kids wanted to go to summer school because they went to classes like Lego building and music. The community ed that I came from in Wisconsin was phenomenal. So I get it. It's just like, oh my gosh, how do we get there? I don't know. I don't know. I've only been here 6 years or almost 6 years, so I don't know the structure. I've just heard the history of community ed, and unless, Barb, you're coming out of retirement to revive it, Dr. Sklevlin talked about it. It was just a huge, just every person who had it, there was faults, and there was never a good fit. And so I don't know if I have the faith to put it out to bid and like, oh, we're gonna find it now, when we've struggled for the last 10 years to find that person.
I would agree. I'm thinking that this restructure is finding a better fit for those duties of early learning, and putting that in the hands of the principal kind of makes sense to me. And I think that we've been trying for so long to make it fit within the community ed position, but I think there's a big challenge of making that work. And so I think we need to move from that and restructure in this way.
I wouldn't shut the door. I wouldn't, like, if you found someone, you just never know. If you found someone that came into the community and was just like, oh, I'm really excited about this, and like, it could grow to a full-time position again. Like, who's to say it can't? Who's to say that it could not be, I'll toot my own horn and look at youth sports. Youth sports was a lot more, very very, limited options, and it's something that grew into this, you know what I mean? So it's like, there's options for that community ed, and I feel like even if we restructure it to any of these options, that is more of a part-time position in terms of the community ed part, I don't think we're shutting the door. I think we're just giving them a little bit more guidance to, like, all right, here's what you have, what can you do with it? And if you're maximizing it, and they're just, program after program and outreach and community and stuff, that like, hey, look how much they're doing. Let's make it a, 0.75 position now. Hey, they're adding this and this and this. Now they have after school and before school care again. Let's make it a full time. That's my opinion in terms of it.
So I'm all about restructure, just because looking at currently what we have, I don't feel we have enough things. There's not enough things to fill a full-time schedule at that cost. I'm good with half-time community ed, like Hannah was saying, and just bring it up if we need to. If we're going to keep, in my opinion, the early childhood in the community ed, then I feel the community ed needs to be over in the elementary school.
Yeah.
No, I would agree to that.
I would not keep community ed in the high school if they're going to have anything to do with early childhood.
100%.
Well, and
Not just
I
certain
respectfully
hours, like full-time, like that's what.
that, because it should be the way it is now, where you guys asked for that before, and it was made with the scheduling, and there are half and half hours, so there are scheduled hours at Crest, there are scheduled hours here, and I don't know, yeah, it's the will of the board, and I see where it's going, so.
So I know the difficult thing. Sorry, Mark.
I'm done.
The difficult thing about the early childhood, I think, for me, from talking to the public is, and then talking to some of the teachers, and then talking to Mr. Ollie is, and from my position in my job outside of this, you gotta have supervision. You gotta have somebody there that's like actively in the building. And our community ed director, I think, goes over there as much as we ask it to. I just think that by the way that we have it structured right now, it's almost like she should be over there. She should literally come to work in the morning, go over there for like the first like couple hours, make sure everything's running smooth, and then come back over here. Well, but that's not realistic. I mean, because that's only part of her job, you know, and so that's why I'm a big supporter of, and I think that the principal in the building is the one handling, I mean, that's who's handling all the fires that go on in the building. And when that principal has to look at the staff and be like, well, you know, okay, let me call the community ed director, and then, you know, call her, she's over here, okay. Now she's gotta, okay, what's going on? She's most likely probably gotta get in her car, drive all the way back over there just to put out a fire that the principal could have done. And then there's just, everybody in the building goes to one person, you know. And so I think if it doesn't add a substantial amount of duties to the principal, and he or she is something they can do, I think that's the best thing. It's the best bang for our buck, you know. We're getting more for less. I mean, so.
It'd be different if we were one campus too, you know, think about
Yeah,
it all.
no, I agree. I think it would be absolutely different if we were one campus, because then the community ed director can be anywhere in the building, and they just literally just walk over there. They can continually walk through there. I mean, so, you know, so.
And that's where my question was coming from. I'm game to restructure. I like option D. I am concerned about capacity. If we offload the early childhood portion to our principal, does our principal have the capacity to do that? I don't want to overburden them to the point where they're not doing their job effectively one way or the other. So it should be in the building. It should be under one person. I agree, 100%. But I don't want to stretch our staff so thin that they're struggling.
And I think I go back to what you said, you weren't at the work session, but about the marketing too. So that's why I guess I'm wavering, like, is that something we want to add to, I mean, like, the marketing, I mean, I think like you said, we need someone who's a niche. I mean, yes, I still think this person should handle a lot of the, you know, regular scheduled posts, but maybe the active marketing, trying to recruit students, trying to retain, or, you know what I mean, like I said, we're not doing that, we're not looking for additional revenue. You know, maybe that's something that marketing, I don't know.
Yeah, that would be a piece of it. That would make sense.
Mr. Ollie, this is just a discussion tonight. We don't need to vote on anything, correct? Okay, good.
Correct, yep. This is a discussion item, and as Ms. Neprud alluded to, there is not any urgency.
Yeah, no, right, okay. I just want to make sure, because I don't
The
think we should vote on it
March,
tonight.
the comment made by me about March posting is just a recommendation to get moving on this. You know, our resignation is effective on or before June 30th, so we don't know when that position will need to be filled, so.
Can we add this to our March work session again? Just because I know a lot of us missed that one, and so it's hard to have discussion.
You don't want to miss the graduates that have already filled other positions if we wait too long, so,
And there is interest in the community,
yeah, I don't know.
yeah, so.
Thank you for this, Bill.
Mr. Ollie, just before we move on, with the C and D there, is there any discussion in those that possibly, depending upon, you know, other people that may be employed by the school district that may or may not have a community ed license, that we could possibly hire a person that maybe didn't have to have that community ed license?
Correct.
Okay.
If we hire, we have to have a community ed license designee for Crosby-Ironton schools. So if the school board elects option C or D for a coordinator type person, we would then be responsible for finding somebody to do our state reporting oversight,
Okay.
somebody we can have listed as our go-to
Okay,
community ed director.
thank you.
All right.
right, we'll move on to the 5.9 amended Ranger Youth Sports Agreement, which this will be an action item later in the agenda, so. Did you want me to?
Go for it.
Okay, so just a reminder that this was a trial basis when this was originally done in 2023, I believe. So we were just kind of going off of a trial. So what we want to do is we kind of want to get this into an actual agreement with Ranger Youth Sports and the district. So that is kind of where this has flourished from. So you'll see in there that there's been some changes. The only thing I did bring to Mr. Ollie's attention was on page 3, I think it's just a typo. It should, if there's a problem, they should be calling Hannah Wiesner. It says RYP, but I think it should be RYS, President? Is that correct?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so we'll just need to get that changed. And then, depending on where we go with community education, will depend on one of the parts in paragraph 1, 2, 3 under the purpose. Because I know scheduling of facilities is currently under community ed, so if something changes with that, we would need to revisit this. Does anybody have any questions, comments, anything like that? Concerns? Okay, we'll bring that up later in the meeting. All right. Item 6, we need to approve the minutes from the January 26th, 2026 regular board meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Number 7, we'll talk about the administrative reports, 7.1, A through D first. Anything under those that you would like to discuss or have questions on?
Mr. Ollie, I was a little confused by the activities director's report. And the part, I'm hoping you can answer this question, that's the only thing I had. And it's really just about the hockey team. Did we lose and we're not playing in the playoffs, or are we in the playoffs? Reason I ask that is because the first part says that they lost in St. Cloud in the Section 6A semifinal game. But then this says they start their playoffs on 2/17 versus Breckenridge. So I'm just wondering, did we lose a game like last weekend?
I think that's the boys' team now, right? Switch from the girls' team to the boys' team in that same paragraph.
Oh,
Or did we lose?
hey, thanks.
Did we
Missed a
win?
word.
Okay,
They are done, the boys, the next sentence says the boys are the next team around.
all right, I didn't see
That's
that.
what you see, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see girls,
boys.
sorry. Thank you, Mr. Ollie. I have nothing else.
Gonna clarify, but I wanted to make sure
I'm
I
good
had,
now.
I had to read it twice too, so.
We put both in this.
Because the boys play tomorrow night, correct?
Hockey, you talking hockey still?
Yeah, I think, right? They play Sartell tomorrow night, I believe, down
Sorry, I don't know.
at the Mac Center. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead, sorry.
Okay. All right. We'll move on to 7.1E, Superintendent, Mr. Ollie.
Just pass out some more papers for you. Brief report, just update. I'll try to do a monthly legislative update. I will also try to include updates in my weekly notes for those of you that are receiving emails as well. I apologize if you get any duplicate information, but the legislatures, despite the budget surplus that is communicated. They're facing a projected deficit next year. And the challenges that are coming out of the Capitol are related to affordability, fraud, federal funding changes, immigration, enforcement impacts, gun control and school safety. And interesting notes already in education committees, their bills were already debated about the immigration enforcement in schools, educator licensure updating, interstate teacher mobility, so that would be teachers that have a license from a neighboring state and want to come teach in Minnesota and vice versa, making that easier for them. They're looking at proposals advancing while others stalled along party lines, giving election year politics narrow majorities and budgetary uncertainty. Lawmakers caution that limited legislative progress is likely in this session. That was the update from today.
Okay.
Our district school, any questions about that? District website is nearing completion. That should be up and running very soon. Excited to see those updates. I appreciate all those working behind the scenes on getting information and helping with that process. Additionally, our Infinite Campus School Information System timeline is crafted and drafted. Meetings are already scheduled and on many staff members' calendars. We have staff training planned for March 19th and 26th. 2 of the 4 hours for our snow makeup days we're working on. The other 2 hours at dates to be determined, and we'll get those solidified as soon as possible. That, again, time will be spent using Infinite Campus and different trainings and the back end and the inner workings of that new school information system. And we'll make sure that we have things ready for parents as we transition this summer and into next fall. Appreciate Ms. Zahn and her extra work that she is tackling behind the scenes with this project, because it is daunting, but doing a nice job. Lunch and Learn, did you want to talk about our Rams meeting today?
Well, it was kind of interesting. I've never been to one, didn't know what to expect, and it was interesting. Really not school related, like not education related, but more of how to increase businesses and people into your community based off of how I perceived it, the IRRB, deed, all the different things, and they talked about 3 Grand Rapids projects. So it was kind of interesting to hear what their city has been working on and how they all work together, so.
Were you surprised, were they surprised to see you there?
They were.
I told you that, see,
They
that
were
was a, yeah.
Their new executive director, I don't know if it's so new, maybe he's been there a year, maybe 2 now, Paul Pelzer, connected with him during my transition in July, and he came down and I took him out to the mine pits and showed him the town and the different projects that the community has been working on. He toured our facilities both here at the high school and Crest, and he really just encouraged us to stay connected, reach out, and just be a face in the room. And it was I guess interesting as well, but it was good for us to see the impact that economic development is having in towns similar to Crosby-Ironton in terms of older buildings and refurbishing, restructuring, and the process that goes into that. But most importantly, they are doing a lot of work on schools' behalf down in the Capitol, and they're doing a lot of things to help secure funding for us. I know we have some taconite funding that they help us secure and support us with, so that partnership and that relationship is very important. And today was really about networking and about keeping that bridge built, and we have new faces at the leadership level. We have new board members, and it was good for them to see CI represented up there. They were pleasantly surprised to see maroon and white in the room, so. So we'll continue to update you if there's things that come out of Rams. Our digital mapping of the facilities was completed last week. Appreciate Mr. Tollefson, Mr. Fournier. Spent some time with a gentleman doing a lot of updates to maps, and we'll get those digitally soon, and our law enforcement and first responders will have those as well. So it's a great project. Again, that was a free, not free, it was funded through a grant that the county secured with their emergency response department. Along the similar lines, I attended the active violence tabletop at Sourcewell last week with Trevor Roloff, just continuing conversations about looking at safety assessments and ways that we can continue to take measures here at the school to, not only with our facilities, but with our procedures that we're doing. This Wednesday, I'm taking part in standard response protocol, Train the Trainer. That's through the I Love You Guys Foundation. They will actually have representatives there doing the training. Not that I'm trying to be our district trainer, but I want to understand all the inner workings of it. So as we talk to people and staff have questions, you know, we have an idea of how that's all working out. I believe Mr. Fournier is attending as well, and I know Mr. Roloff is attending. So Mr. Fisher, our high school principal, has gone through that formal training as well in his previous school district. So we're just trying to build that capacity throughout the district so everybody is on the same page with our response systems and our language and those types of things. So just encourage the community and our staff and school board to stay up to date through newsletters, our social media pages, our CI podcast, which we're looking at doing a video stream for as well here in the coming weeks and months, hopefully, through YouTube channel, our website, local newspaper, and then again, the strategic planning process is going to be extremely important. I hope we can get some good involvement in that and get people fired up to be a part of that process too. And then I just listed several upcoming events and things that will be on our radar. Are there questions about my report?
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, committee reports, staff development is attached to board book there. You can read through that. I don't really have any updates for that. Ms. Hatala has attached Clef notes. Any additions at all to that you maybe
I think I
missed?
would just add that it is a delight to have all of as many staff and members of the school district coming and asking for funds for such beautiful projects. So I just want to underscore, keep it up. You're doing a great job, and it is a delight to be able to provide funds for that when we can, to look for different alignments when we cannot. And I just applaud and encourage, so thank you.
Thank you for attaching it too, because I mean, like, I like to hear oral report, but sometimes it's really nice to read it, because then a lot of times I go back and look at it, you know, a month or so later too, so thank you. I
Absolutely.
appreciate the time you took to type that up.
Certainly. You're welcome.
I know the next community ed advisory council meeting is the 2nd of March.
Yep.
And
So,
it was on her, her notes
Report.
too, her report, the last one was attached. We've seen it, but it is on there.
because you guys meet every other month, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right, Infinity, that's not us anymore, if I remember right.
Probably take it off.
Correct. That one, I should have noted, we can take off the Infinity Online, and maybe just for public understanding of that, we, Dr. Skevlin served on the board of that.
You got a representative.
So when you serve on the board of Infinity, you have one of your district board members as a part of that as well. So I forget which superintendents are now on that. I appreciate their service with that, but we don't need a CI board member on that any longer. When their terms are up, I will definitely express interest to make sure we keep our ears and eyes to the ground on what's happening with Infinity Online. And if that opportunity comes up for me to be a part of that, I will certainly express my interest.
All right, perfect. And I think last month, Mr. Taylor, you were gone, and I don't think we've had an update.
Yeah, no, I'll have an update that this month, like this coming month in March. We meet every 3 months, so
Yeah,
quarterly, so.
okay. And then I don't believe Mr. Sablon's been to another Paul Bunyan joint.
No, our next meeting is in March.
Okay,
But everybody should have received the email. Did you send that out?
I did.
To the entire board? Regarding Brainerd's decision, it was a 6-0 unanimous vote that they would not withdraw from the co-op
At this time, yeah. This month.
This month.
Yeah, they just.
I got
hired
a
their
feeling that now that they got a new superintendent, that's probably gonna be something that's gonna take some breaks on it. I can't foresee this guy that's coming in wanting to tackle something like that, along with everything else that they got going on over there with declining enrollment, so. I was glad to see that, Mr. Ollie, when you sent that out, so.
So, that's everything.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Sablon.
All right. All right, we will move on to 7.3, enrollment report. Mr. Tollefson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I won't spend too much time on tonight's enrollment report because we talked about enrollment earlier in the meeting. Just noting, as you'll see on the report in your packet, that the enrollment at the elementary school declined by 4 students, and the the secondary enrollment increased by 1 student, so down 3 overall, dropping that average. What I did this afternoon is I ran the current counts from February out for the rest of the year, and if we can hold this enrollment, we come in exactly at 1,006, which is on budget. So we're going to hope that the next couple of months are continue to be steady and stable. But I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any feedback? I mean, even though the secondary went up, we did have 3 that declined. We did have some additions, but like 8th, or 9th lost 2 students. Do you have any feedback, or could you include that in your?
I apologize, I was supposed to get that before tonight, I wrote it down, and I will
Okay,
put it.
just put it in our
I will
weekly.
put it in a weekly memo to you, I apologize.
That's fine.
Yep.
You don't have to.
Any other questions or comments on the enrollment report? All right, we will move on to number 8, the consent calendar. I need a motion to approve 8.1 to 8.3.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? I do have thank you cards here that will sign. I'm just, wasn't going to do it while I was running the board meeting, so.
Thank you, Mr. Tolleson, for adding the fundraising to our packet.
Yes, and if I may, Madam
Yep.
Chair. The fundraising, what we're going to give you in the fundraising, the activities director, as we noted earlier, does maintain a fundraising calendar. What we'll be reporting to you monthly is the results of that calendar as they become live and deposits are made. That's how kind of we're tracking it, just so that there is no confusion. So there are activities that are happening, fundraising activities that are happening. They'll be reported once the deposit has been made. Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to say one thing, and I don't think we've ever really pointed this out. Every month we talk about how much money we get in our donations and fundraising and stuff like that. And I just wanted to point out that every month there seems like there's always a personal name on there, somebody that wrote a personal check every month. So I just wanted to point out that that's something that every month somebody in this community or somebody that's connected to this community not only, donates money to us, but that's their hard-earned money and that's their money. It's not their business's money. It's not money that they went and fundraised. It's money that, they gave to us. So I just think that that's amazing that we have people in our community that give their own hard-earned money to support. Specifically, this one went to the 6th grade Long Lake Conservation Camp trip. So this person decided that they felt strong enough to donate specifically for that. So I just wanted to just say that's just amazing to see every month, so.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Number 9, personal consent items, 9.1 to 9.6. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Any discussion?
So I did MSBA training this week. And just wanted to clarify that I have a, person that is on 9.1C, but they are a volunteer. Because otherwise I would have to recuse myself from voting, because it would, financially.
Well, it says volunteer, so
Yes,
he's
that's what I
not
was saying,
getting
just to
paid.
clarify
Okay,
if there's any
yeah,
questions.
Yeah.
You know that
And-
person?
I do know that person.
Okay, that's as far as we'll take it.
The only thing I wanted to add to that is we're still looking for an assistant softball coach. to help help Coach Avelsgard. So if you know anybody that in the community, if you're listening to this and you want to help with softball, like, it'd be an amazing thing for somebody to do. Mr. Avelsgard does a great job and, would probably love to have your help, so.
All right,
And we're
perfect.
looking for, looks like something with boys golf too, so.
Oh, yeah, co-head coach.
3 interviews tomorrow.
Oh, perfect. You're interviewing for
I'm
it?
not one of them,
Oh, okay.
promise.
All right.
For it.
Other things to do.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Under 10.1, approve the following policies. Second reading and adoption of revised policy 713, student activity accounting. Second reading and adoption of policy 714, fund balances. Second reading and adoption of policy 720, vending machines. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. 10.2, retroactive approval of wrestling overnight trip to Mora for a 2-day section tournament from February 6th to February 7th, 2026. Just a reminder that this was a late thing that happened after our January meeting. So do I have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. 10.3, approve overnight trip for National Honor Society to the State Convention in Owatonna, Minnesota from April 11th through April 13th, 2026. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. 10.4, approve amended agreement with Ranger Youth Sports. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Thompson, do I have to recuse myself for this one?
I don't think so. You're not,
No
you're not
financial?
financially
Okay.
benefiting, so you can vote on it.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. 10.5, approve robotics overnight trip to Duluth for competition from March 4th through March 7th, 2026. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
Didn't we already do this, though? Or did we just talk about it in a,
I think this,
We have not done this.
I might be confusing my meetings.
Yeah, we believe this one was missed during the transition from the normal process. We looked back all the way to November and couldn't find it, so. yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Number 11, public comments. If there's anybody that wants to come forward for public comment, please do so now.
Dave? Becky? Okay.
All right, we will move on. Our next regular board meeting is March 23rd, 2026, here in the forum room. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Meeting